A creator I produced for won Alex Hormozi's Skool Games and out-earned 14,857 school communities. And it started with something we gave away for free that did more work and more selling than any sales call we ever ran. Here's what nobody tells you about lead magnets. The point isn't to be generous, it's not to give value. A great lead magnet is the most strategic thing that you'll ever build, because if you build it right, it does 3 things before anyone ever sees your offer. All right, so it solves a problem and then creates the next one. If your lead magnet doesn't do this, then nothing else I say will matter today. If you solve everything with your lead magnet, then you just created a dead end for your audience and for your leads. They don't need you anymore. That might sound bad, but in their head, they're gonna think they don't need you anymore, but inevitably they will need you, and you selling them will actually help them. What you have to do is you solve one problem, and that problem makes them aware of the next one. Let's say, for example, let's give dropshipping as an example. You teach them how to find a winning product. So now they have a winning product. Now they have to run ads for it, and they don't know how to run ads. So you teach them that. A good lead magnet, basically, it's one step that you solve. This is gonna unlock a lot of other things that I'll get into later. The main gist that I want you to get is don't try to solve 40 problems. Don't make it like a whole roadmap. What you need to do is just solve one problem that's typically at the beginning of whatever journey they're in, and then make them aware of the next problem. Also, what this will do is you making them aware of the next problem is value in itself. If you solve all of their problems, then you just created a dead end. And what I mean by that is your lead magnet's job is designed to solve one main problem. Just think like there's steps to any journey, right? And you just want to fully solve one step of that journey for them, okay, with your lead magnet, whatever the value you give. Then that next step, now they're like, okay, well, I just learned how to find winning products drop shipping, or I learned the first steps of trading, but now I don't know how to ship the product, or I don't know how to run ads. And you make them aware that they don't know how to do that, because that in itself is value as well. If you try to solve all their problems in the lead magnet, first of all, it's not going to happen, because whatever the process is probably a long process. And if you try to just solve the entire thing in a lead magnet, most people won't take advantage of that. It just doesn't work as well as solving one step completely rather than trying to water it down and solving the entire thing. By solving less, you're giving them more in a sense. And if you want me to look at your business, just use the first link in the description. But anyways, solving one problem isn't enough, because they'll solve that first thing and then they'll never come back, because your lead magnet missed these 3 things. The 3 beliefs, and this is where most lead magnets completely fall apart, because you have to, again, this is completely strategic. You're not just here to throw out value, okay? The first part is create a belief in themselves. What I mean by that is you don't want to give them just information and be like, hey, here's how to read a book. Whatever the information you give, it should be some sort of action plan tailored. So what works well for lead magnets is like, okay, here's a 3-week challenge, or something where the whole premise of it is taking action. So you're giving value in there, but you're not just framing it as a guide or something. The lead magnet itself is framed as an action. So like I said, the 3-week challenge or the 1-month challenge, and you make that and you really build it in a way that you're emphasizing action for them. Because what this will do is you're creating micro wins for them, and they're going to be building their own self-belief, which is something you need in order to sell them. That's one of the things. If they don't believe in themselves that they can do it, the next 2 things don't matter either. So you have to nail this down first. And the second thing is belief in you, because if they believe in themselves but they don't believe in you, then they're still not going to buy from you. They're just going to try to do it themselves, or just try to do it themselves again and fail. So what you need to do is you need to ensure that the quality of this free lead magnet is actually good. If it's shit quality, then they're just going to think whatever you're selling them that's paid is also shit quality. So it's important to make sure the quality of your product is good, even for the free stuff. That will create the belief in you that you can help them. And also another point on this is not just the quality of the value you're giving, but also you gotta share kind of what you've been through and share your struggle and your story, because then they see the shit you went through. You didn't just spawn at the top, you actually went through struggle, and now they're believing in you because they also resonate with you more. So that's another part of it. It's quality of the value, but then also showing enough about yourself that they believe in you and trust you that you've went through the same thing that they're maybe at the beginning of right now. And then the third thing is belief in the process. So not you, but the method. And this is where having testimonials is really helpful. Having a process that is unique. So using unique mechanisms. You're not just describing the same exact thing that everyone else is doing. It's differentiated. It's different in some way. And the whole point of this, to show that your process works, regardless of who's driving the vehicle. If the vehicle is the process, whoever's driving that vehicle should be able to get that result. So that's kind of the goal there. You show this with creating a unique mechanism, creating a process that actually makes sense to them in their head, specifically your ICP, and then having case studies of other people doing it as well. And even when you have all three beliefs there, something still can kill the sale. And this is the one that changed everything for us. So you have to pre-handle objections in your lead magnets. It's such a perfect place to do that. You know why? Because their guard is completely down. So when you're able to address objections, they don't think it's a sales call. They don't think it's, you're trying to sell them at all. Their guard is down, which means they're more susceptible to actually being influenced. If they think they're going to be manipulated, it's harder to, and you're not manipulating them, but you're pre-handling objections. So if they think you're trying to change their belief on something, then they're going to be more resistant. They're going to be more closed off. But if they're just coming in for free value and then you're like, hey, and they think in their head, they're like, hey, I think this is going to take too long for me. Like I don't have the time, blah, blah, blah. That's an objection that would have to be handled on the sales call. And that's just a very basic one. You can handle all sorts of objections. But the point being is you can just pre-handle that in the lead magnet rather than passing it on to the closer, so that when they actually get, if it's a high ticket product, when they get on the sales call, the closer has to jump through a little bit less hurdles to get to the payment. So you're basically mapping out paid offer objection. Like you can address it as education as well. So you can say, like I mentioned, you think it's going to take XYZ, but it actually takes only 3 hours a day. So something like the biggest myth about, let's say, AI automations is that it takes 7 days or 7 hours a day, but it actually only takes an hour, and then you give the reasoning behind it and you actually pre-handle that objection in a good way. And like I said, the hourly one is a very basic objection to pre-handle. You can handle other ones. It's so specific to every audience, but something that it won't work for them. Well, like I mentioned earlier, you can also show case studies in the lead magnet, and you can do it in a very subtle way, but that's also kind of two birds, one stone, where you're pre-handling that objection and building that belief. What a good lead magnet does is it creates the foundation for the rest of the sales process to be easy, because you can handle so many things in that lead magnet. That's why I like to do multiple. You're not just giving them one lead magnet, you're giving them a few, like 3, for example, 3 different videos, and it's 3 different actionable things, and they're getting a lot of value because you're solving 3 different steps for free, but that also gives you a lot of space to be able to pre-handle a lot of objections for free and build a belief in you and themselves and the process and all these different things. It just gives you more space. So really be strategic with your lead magnet. Don't just think, hey, I want to build trust, so I'm going to give more free value. It's like, no, this is an opportunity to really build someone's resistance down and just make it easier to sell them when they're actually trying to be sold later down the line, because you can do it in almost like a safe space where it's easy to sell them, break beliefs, build beliefs, or break false beliefs, build beliefs. And it's just the perfect place, honestly. So if you want me to look at your business, like I said earlier, just click the first link in the description. And if you found this valuable, then feel free to drop a like. If you didn't, then don't leave anything. Appreciate your time. Have a good one. Peace.